Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I'm Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio, and we got a busy week in college football this week, especially in the Big Ten. And why not start in Eugene for a top 10 matchup between Indiana and Oregon? And for me, I think this is going to be a competitive game. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think these two quarterbacks, Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza, have played great. We saw Indiana be dominant against Illinois a couple of weeks ago, and then we saw Oregon with that big win. I know it doesn't seem like as big of a win now, seeing what happened with Penn State last week, but they had that huge win at the whiteout at Penn State. So they beat Penn State in the whiteout game. So I think this game, I think it's going to come down to the team that runs the football better. I think it's going to be Oregon. I think Dante Moore is going to outplay Fernando Mendoza. I think Mendoza is going to turn the ball over a couple times. And Kurt Cignetti's teams in big spots. We saw him struggle last year at Ohio State. Saw him struggle last year at Notre Dame. I think they'll stay in this game, but by the fourth quarter, I think that Oregon is going to pull away and win this by double digits. I got Oregon winning 27-17 over Indiana. But Justin, can Kurt Cignetti's Indiana team turn things around against good teams? We saw them struggle last year against Notre Dame and Ohio State. Can they turn it around in Eugene this Saturday?
I got the Ducks here 34-24. I think this is an unbelievable quarterback matchup for Mendoza versus Dante Moore. And I think in this one, you mentioned last year's Indiana games against Ohio State and Notre Dame. Big part of that was they didn't have the guys up front. And I think this year they are better up front than they were last year. In this one, too, Indiana's top corner, D'Angelo Ponce, is probably be a draft pick this year. Can he keep Dante Moore in check this week? Because the other Oregon wide receivers haven't totally stepped up outside of Moore. So they can keep him in check. I think Indiana's got a good chance to win, but I do think he does enough in this one. Both these teams are very explosive. Both these teams finish in the red zone. I am going to take Oregon here at home, 34-24.
You said it with that matchup between Moore and Ponce. That's a very, very interesting matchup between those two. And the winner of that matchup, I mean, I think if Indiana shuts Moore down, there's a very good chance that Indiana stays in the game. But if Moore has a big day, I think Oregon wins this one by a couple scores.
Yeah, I could totally see that happening because if they can't shut him down, if Moore's gonna have a big day, then I think that opens up, other things, and I think it'll open some things up there. And yeah, Moore could kind of beat them. I think Dante Moore's gonna have a pretty good game, and then that puts up pressure on Indiana, have to kind of keep up in this one. And they do have the guys that I think can keep up, but being on the road though, tough environment to go to Autzen there and get a victory. So yeah, if Dante Moore could have a huge day at the receiver position, I do think it puts Indiana in a tough spot to try to win this football game.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too. And we got Frank in the group chat talking about Mendoza being a great QB, talking about the Hurricanes, and he says his younger brother's even better. Yeah, we'll see. Well, I don't know what Frank.
He's a backup.
He's a backup at Indiana.
Indiana.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So Indiana's in good shape to be good for years to come. But now going to the Oregon side of this, and I see Frank's comment, go Canes. Here's my
Hey,
question. It's an
they got
interesting
a
question.
chance.
If Oregon beats Indiana this week, and say like by a couple scores, do they leap Miami for the number 2 spot?
I think it's possible that they will. Well, no, actually, it's tough because like, do the AP voters really, how do they think? I know they have Indiana ranked 7th right now. They be poll. You can never figure out the AP poll, guys. But if they win by a couple scores, I could maybe see them leaping Miami. I think it's possible because Miami's got the bye this week before headed, short week next week, leave on a Friday night. It was pretty close. I think it was only like 40-ish points off. So I could see it. If Oregon wins by a couple of scores, I could see it. Would I agree with it? Maybe. I don't know how much trust I can put in the AP poll anymore. You hear some of the stories that come out of there, the people voting. I just can't take it seriously at times, but I could see it happening. Oh, hey, they are in both of the Mendoza are both from Miami.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
And Frank said, of course, Frank knows where Frank would know if got you from Miami.
Yeah.
Know that. And then he says, and even Frank admits they might. And I could see them. I could see them jumping them. I can see them jumping Miami if that happens because Miami's got a bye week. But it really doesn't matter because the AP poll means nothing because when the college football playoff poll comes out in a month, that's what's going to matter.
Yeah, that's what really matters. Yeah, the AP is just a placeholder for the college football playoff because week 1, that's really what they base their rankings on. Is what does the AP poll look like? So that's how it goes. So yeah, they're pretty much just a placeholder till the playoff rankings come out.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll stay in the Big Ten. We got a matchup with Ohio State traveling to Illinois. Illinois has got 3 losses. They've got 1 loss. Ohio State's undefeated. And I think Ohio State's defense has been so good. Now, this might be the best quarterback this is probably the best quarterback they faced outside of, because Arch Manning hasn't played that well this year, so this is the best quarterback they faced in Luke Altmaier. And I think he'll make his plays, but I think they'll force some mistakes. And I think Julian Sands going to play well. I think he's going to play well through a couple touchdown passes. And I got Illinois covering, but I got OSU winning by double digits. I got OSU 30-17 over Illinois. But Justin, can Altmaier lead the Illini to a huge to an upset win against the defending national champs?
No, I got the Buckeyes here, 35-13. I hope Illinois watched some tape last week when Ohio State played Minnesota because Minnesota, for whatever reason, played man-to-man coverage against Ohio State, and they got absolutely torched.
Okay. Why would you ever play man against Ohio State with the receivers, the history of the receivers they have, and they got the best receiver in the country in Jeremiah Smith?
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know. And I think Minnesota's secondary is a little better than Illinois because Illinois' secondary is still banged up, and I don't know how many of them are come back for this game. But Tate and Jeremiah Smith already have 59 catches. This combined 59 catches for 898 yards already. So those two are just monsters. And I think they have a pretty good game. I don't know if Ohio State has as much talent as they did last year, but I think with Sain's upside being a little bit better than Will Howard, I think they're better than. I think they possibly could be better than last year's team.
Wow. Last year's team was loaded, but the quarterback, the quarterback play might be better on this team.
I think it might be, and Matt Patricia too.
Yeah.
He's just been confusing every quarterback that he's faced, and I think Luke Altmaier's done a pretty good job. 11 touchdowns and no INTs, but I think this is gonna be a tough matchup for him. And I'm interested to see how Illinois does this time around against. Up front because Indiana really dominated that side of the ball. So. Are both sides up front. So I wonder how Illinois does this time around. But I just think Ohio State's just going to suffocate them. Maybe it's a close game at halftime, but I think Ohio State kind of pulls away in the second half.
Yeah, Ohio State should have the edge here because you saw Illinois get blown out by Indiana. They beat USC, but do we know USC was playing a game in Eastern? They're playing like a 9:00 game in the Eastern time zone. So I think it's Ohio. I think Ohio
excuses.
Yeah, I think Ohio State wins by 2 scores as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I think right now they're the best team in the country, and I think that continues on Saturday. Yeah, I don't care about the early start. I think Ohio State's used to it. I think they take care of business.
All righty, we got another matchup in the Big Ten between Michigan and USC. I think this will be a game that's kind of up and down. Michigan will have success running the ball, but I'm going to take the team with the better quarterback. I have a team that the quarterback that's playing better. I know Underwood has definitely more upside than USC's quarterback, but I'm going to take the quarterback that's playing better right now in the home team, and I'm going to go with Lincoln Riley here. I'm going with Lincoln Riley to win 27-24 over Michigan. But Justin, can Michigan beat USC for the second year in a row?
Yeah, I'm going to take a team that's better up front. And I got Michigan 27-23 here. I think Lincoln Riley in the worst way needs to win either this week or next week against Jourdain. This one's probably the easier one to get, or maybe not easier, but this one's a better shot for him to get here. Lincoln's making excuses, worried about travel. He was still complaining the other day about a call 2 weeks ago about a holding call that happened. So, not really liking where Lincoln Riley is headspace right now. And Bryce Underwood just keeps getting better and better every week. I think he plays pretty well. I think Justice Haynes has a big game on the ground. USC 2 in that Illinois game lost 3 offensive linemen. I don't know. I think Elijah Page right now is the only one. I guess he's been practicing this week. That's the only one I've really seen. So they might get him back, but I don't know about the other two right now. I don't think the center is because he had a cast on his leg and on crutches. I don't think he's playing, but I think USC is a little too banged up right now, and I think up front Michigan is the better team, and I think that wills them to victory here. I got them on the road 27-20.
We got the Red River rivalry between Oklahoma and Texas. John Mateer is going to be out for Oklahoma. Arch Manning's been struggling for Texas. I think it's a low-scoring game, and I'm going to go with the team with the better defense. I'm going with Texas here. I'm going with Texas 23-17 over OU. But, Justin, can OU end their arch rival season?
Yeah, I got the Longhorns 23-20. Yeah, I know Oklahoma threw out a smoke screen the other day saying, he's going to be game time decision and all that. If he was, I don't think Oklahoma would be saying that. I think they would have waited till the last possible second to let you know that. So I don't think Mateer's playing. I think they're just trying to play chess or some mind games here with Texas and make them try to prep for Mateer. So the starter is going to be Michael Hawkins Jr., who's not a great passer of the football. And I think in this one, it's a low-scoring kind of slugfest. I think Texas offensive line is bad. I know Arch did not look good last week. There's some pre-snap stuff as well. But for Manning, his mechanics are absolutely broken. But I think this week he plays good enough to get the win. But I'm a little worried if Texas's offensive line can't slow down Oklahoma's defensive line. I think Oklahoma could win this football game, but I assume Oklahoma's going to try to take away, just try to play as, try to just, I don't think they go up tempo in this game. I think they're going to try to minimize the possessions of this game as much as they can, but I do think Texas is a little bit better. I'd definitely take Mateer for Oklahoma if I take Oklahoma if Mateer was healthy in this one.
I would too. And here's the thing is, for the way Arch has been playing so far, is it obvious now that he's going to stay next year at Texas? He's going to stay in college next year?
Yeah, they're paying him so much money that I think he's going to stick around at Texas. But I don't think he's the best candidate. The kid Matthew Caldwell that came in for one play last week threw the best ball out of the two of them last week on the final drive. I don't know if they could, because you're paying him. I don't know if you could tell him to transfer, but I don't. Steve Spurrier's right before the year when he's talking. If Manning was any good, he would have started over Ewers. Texas would take Ewers over Manning right now. So I think he's definitely coming back to school. I think it's going to be Texas because they're just paying him so much money. But I wouldn't be shocked if he transfers out and plays at a small school. There's just a lot. Just for Manning, I'm surprised how bad his mechanics are.
Yeah, it's not been a good start for Arch Manning at all. We got another matchup in the SEC. We got Alabama. We got a good win last week over Vanderbilt. Ty Simpson's been playing well against a quarterback that I know well, and that's Bo Pabula in Missouri, and they are undefeated going into the game. I think this is a good game, but I think Ty Simpson outplays Bo Pabula. I think they both play well, but I think Ty Simpson outplays them. That's why I'm going to go with the road team here. I'm going to go with Bama 31-24. But Justin, can Bo Pabula lead Missouri to the upset and hand Bama their second loss of the year?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm with you. I got Bama 30-23. For Missouri, they're coming off the bye. They haven't played a road game yet. Their rushing attack's been really good with Amon Hardy. And Bama's been getting about 4 yards to carry in this one. Bo Pabula's been playing pretty well, too. My concern in this one is I don't think Missouri's very good in the secondary. I do think they have a decent pass rush. So if they can get pressure on Ty Simpson, I think they got a good chance to win this football game. But if not, I think the wide receivers, Bernard, Brian Williams, I think they have a big day here against Missouri. But for Bama, third straight kind of tough one. I know they got Vandy last week. They played Georgia 2 weeks ago. Next week you got Tennessee at home on a Saturday night. So, I don't expect Bama to let letdown, but another really tough physical game for them in this one. So I wouldn't be surprised if Missouri gets them as they're coming off the bye here. But I think Bama right now does find a way to get this one done. But the SEC this year is just it's a Big 12 this year, a better version of the Big 12 because anybody can beat anybody. There's not that elite team that we're used to seeing right now.
Yeah, it seems like it so far in the SEC. Now moving on to the Big 12, we got Iowa State heading to Boulder to face Deion in Colorado. And the question is, can Iowa State bounce back this week? I think they do. I think Rico Beck plays well, and I think they win 27-20 over Deion and the Colorado Buffaloes. But Justin, can Deion pull off the huge upset and then pretty much end Iowa State's season?
I'm going to take Iowa State. I'm very worried about this one. Iowa State's now down 2 cornerbacks who are both future NFL guys. They're down 16 total guys. They didn't play last week. I don't know if they're going to get any of them back this week. Iowa State got some pressure on Caden Salter, and Colorado's offensive line has been great in this one. But I do think Iowa State's a little bit more talented. I think Rocco Beck plays well enough in this one. They had it, even their comeback last week, I thought that was more about Cincinnati than Iowa State because they took their foot off the gas. And I don't think this is going to matter for the game, but Deion's having a procedure done. He had a procedure done yesterday. I guess he's been in a lot of pain lately with the foot or whatever. I guess he's supposed to be back at practice today. I haven't seen anything yet, but maybe just a little something that maybe not totally, that he's dealt with that this week here. But I do think Iowa State pulls out a close one here on the road.
Got Georgia. Do you have Virginia Tech heading to Atlanta to face Georgia Tech? I don't think this is a game. I think Haynes King plays great, and I think Georgia Tech cruises 31-13 over Virginia Tech.
I got Georgia Tech win this one 31-21. Virginia Tech's been a bit better since firing the head coach Brett Pry. I do think this is a little close because Georgia Tech's a 14.5-point favorite. They're not usually a double-digit favorite, and I think they're better in the underdog type of role. So I do think Virginia Tech does keep this thing close. I think for them, can they run the ball, kind of kill the clock, keep Haynes Keenum that offense off the field? Because I don't think their defense is that good. And Kyron Drone's a guy that, they need to play better. I thought he was going to take the next step last year. He didn't. He's playing a little bit better of late, but I don't think it's be good enough. And I do think Georgia Tech gets this win.
All righty, we got Penn State trying to bounce back from a disaster last week against Northwestern, and I think it got off to a slow start. I think the game is close in the first half, but I think Penn State, being clearly the more talented team, takes over in the second half and bounces back this week. I got Penn State 31-14 over Northwestern, but Justin, could disaster strike again for Penn State this week against Northwestern?
I hope not for you and the other Penn State fans that would, that would be an absolute disaster. I do have Penn State win this one 31-14. I think they're going to be in better shape this week. I think Drew Allen does play better. Northwestern, I do think they're improved from last year. But Preston Stone, their quarterback, I don't trust him in these big games. I think he turns over the ball a couple of times here. And I know their defense for Penn State was such a disaster, but they, with UCLA firing the OC on a Wednesday night, they had no idea what to expect. And you could see in the first half they didn't. The second half, the defense was better. Yeah. So I do think their defense will play better. I know the Knowles thing hasn't totally worked out so far, but I do think there's a little bit more of a waking up this week. I do think Penn State here at home gets a victory here.
And the big question, too, for Penn State at this point is being 3-2 and having all these high expectations, and more likely having their season end on November 1st when Ohio State beats them in Columbus, is should Penn State move on from James Franklin? And I think yes. I think they got it. I know they got to the semifinals last year, but I think they should. They need something because he's just been so bad against good teams. And then last week was a complete embarrassment. So I say yes.
So I think if you want to be a national championship contender, yes. He's done a great job of getting this program back to kind of being nationally relevant. The thing is, and I think you asked me off the air last week, was if you do fire Franklin, who realistically are you going to get? The only name I could come up with is Kurt Signetti, but he's 64 years old.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
No, that's the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would want to coach at 64, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only issue is, and they owe him over $50 million. So I don't know if Penn State has that money to get rid of him because, and I don't think he's going to walk away and take another job. So that's the issue for Penn State right now. The one thing I will say though, look at what Nebraska did when they fired Bo Pelini. They thought they could take that next step, and they have not been the same ever since. Now,
Yep.
why they hired Mike Riley made no sense.
Oh, it was horrible. It was terrible hiring.
Yeah, that was a horrible hire. So I would assume Penn State makes a better hire than that. But still, that's the one case where you do have to be careful here. I get it. It's been a little bit disaster this year, but he's probably the best option realistically that you have.
Yeah.
Sadly,
that might be the case. Sadly, yes. That might be the case.
I do have one name. I don't think he'd get it, and I don't think he would, I don't think he would get Penn State fans excited is Bob Chesney at James Madison. I think the way he built, I watched him a ton at Holy Cross. The way he built that program up, and then now doing at James Madison, taking over Signetti, they're a really good team. If things blow up in the American, they could get that Group of 5 invite. I don't think they will, but I like him. But again, I know that's not going to move the needle for Penn State fans. But I don't know. Realistically, I don't know who else Penn State could get that could do better than James Franklin right now. That's the only issue.
Yeah. But it's just as a Penn State fan, you're just so tired of losing these top 10 games. And then what he usually, his bread and butter, beating bad teams, he couldn't even do that last week. So it's coming apart and it needs to improve. They got to win out. They got to win out now. It's basically the playoffs every week for Penn State. They got to win out if they want any chance to make the playoffs. Now, moving back to the SEC, we got a matchup in Knoxville between Arkansas and Tennessee. I think Tennessee wins this one big. Arkansas's got an interim head coach. I got Tennessee 31-13 over Arkansas.
Yeah, I got the Vols 42-24. Both these teams come off the bye here. Tennessee, I think, is going to put up a ton of points because Arkansas can't stop anything. How much fight does Arkansas have left in the tank here? I do think Bobby Petrino here is going to put up some points because I do think Arkansas's offense is pretty good here. I don't think they're going to get any stops, and I'll just interesting what their fight is. I think there's a realistic possibility that Bobby Petrino here is going to get the job too, because Arkansas cares more about basketball and baseball at this point, so they could get Petrino here, cheaper contract here. I wouldn't be shocked if they hand him the job, which would be. Oh, I'm actually kind of rooting for him to get the job because,
that'd be funny. He goes back to Louisville and Arkansas. Goes back to both those places.
It only ended disaster here. But he fired 5 coaches on defensive staff, so I don't think that's going to help their defense in this one. But maybe a little bit of a look at for Tennessee heading to Bama next week. But I still just don't. I don't think Arkansas defense could stop anything right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think Arkansas wins this one big. Now another matchup in the SEC between Texas A&M and Florida. I know Florida had a big win last week, but I think Texas A&M right now is better than Texas. I think Marcel Reed is playing well. I think he outplays DJ Lagway, and I got Texas A&M winning this one 27-17 over Florida. But Justin, can the Gators pull off another upset this week against a team from Texas?
Yeah, whenever you think Billy Napier, the nails in the coffin there, he comes out with a victory. They don't quit on the guy. But I got A&M in this week, 28-23. Coming off the bye, DJ looked a lot healthier, and it helped too that they got 5-star freshman back, Dallas Wilson, making his debut. He looked awesome. But A&M, I want to start believing them because Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver, the 2 wide receivers, they've looked really, really good. They got a good running game, Le'Veon Moss too in the backfield, and Marcel Reed played really well. And A&M needs this one too because they are about to head on the road for the next 3 weeks, all SEC games. So you can't have the trip up here. Usual A&M team would probably trip up this week. I'm gonna say they won't here. But the Gators offense or defensive pass rush finally got going last week. Can they get to Marcel Reed, try to win this football game? But I do think A&M will find a way to prevail here.
All right, SEC matchup in SEC matchup down in Auburn. We got Georgia and Auburn, and if it comes down to Jackson Arnold and Gunnar Stockton, I'm taking Gunnar Stockton any day of the week. I got Georgia winning this one by double digits. But Justin, can Auburn pull off the upset at home?
I want to take Hugh Freeze coming off a bye to win one, but I just can't trust Jackson Arnold. I got the Bulldogs 26-20. I wouldn't be shocked if Auburn gets blown out here, that this is the last game Hugh Freeze coaches in Auburn. I
Wow.
would not shock me if they get blown out. If they lose a close one, I think he'll survive. If they get blown out, it's not close. I think he's gone. And this one, Georgia's pass rush hasn't done anything at all this year. It's not the same team that we're used to with Georgia, but I still don't trust Arnold to make enough plays in this one. They have Deuce Knight, who's the second best quarterback coming out of high school last year. He must not be ready because Arnold's been so bad because they have weapons. Like Cam Coleman's really, really good, and you got to hope he sticks around, but they haven't had a quarterback throwing the ball last 2 years. So, but anyways, I think Stockton plays well in this one. I think they do enough offensively. I just think Auburn's offense isn't going to be able to do enough in this one, and I'm going to take the Bulldogs here. Well, I think it's going to happen to Jordan Hare, but I don't think it's going to happen this week, though.
All right, another SEC matchup between in Death Valley as South Carolina faces LSU. And I think Garrett Nussmeier outplays Lenore Sellers, and that's why I got Brian Kelly and LSU winning this one 24-17. But, Justin, can South Carolina put a major hurt on LSU's playoff hopes?
Yeah, this is another one. If South Carolina somehow does beat them, Brian Kelly's another one. I don't know if he's going to be coaching LSU the next week. But I can't see this South Carolina team going into Death Valley on a Saturday night and win this game. I got the Tigers 23-16. I think, coming off the bye for South Carolina, even LSU, both are coming off bye here. I think Lenore Sellers looked a little bit better the last couple of weeks. Garrett Nussmeier hasn't been healthy all year. Does that week off help him out here? Because he hasn't played good football all year, or not great football. South Carolina leads the league in non-offensive touchdowns. Can their defense force a turnover too? Can they get a special teams play? If they can get that, maybe they can go in LSU and get this victory here. But I do think Nussmeier and that offense does enough in this one. I think their defense plays well, and I do have the Tigers at home here getting the win.
All righty, we will head to Lubbock between Kansas and Texas Tech, and I think Texas Tech wins this one big. I think they win this one big. I got them winning at 34-17 over Kansas. Justin, I assume you got the same.
Yeah, I got Tech in this one, 30-28. I do think Kansas, they got lucky to beat UCF last week, but I do think Kansas is going to put up some points in this one. Jalen Daniels is playing really well, 16 touchdowns, 2 INTs early on, or midway through the season. He's played awesome. He's been healthy, which has been great to see. But Texas Tech up front, they're just so much better than any other team in this conference, and they're by far. I'm getting close to calling them like a title contender. It's a competition for second place in this conference. So I do think Kansas keeps it close, but Texas Tech, Morton's been playing pretty well. I think that defense does makes enough stops here to win them the football game. But I'm gonna take Kansas here to keep it close.
All right, staying in the Big 12, we got BYU and Arizona. Another undefeated team, BYU number 18 in the country, heads to Arizona. I think they stay undefeated. I got them winning 24-20 at Arizona on Saturday night.
I'm going to take the Cats in this one, 27-23. Now, I'm not sure how good BYU actually is. I think their defense is pretty good offensively. Freshman quarterback, Bart Meyer's been decent. But I think Noah Fafita's looked a lot better this year. Can BYU get some pressure on it? Because Arizona's given up 13 sacks on the year. I think he plays well enough here on a Saturday night at home. Guess there could be some rain in the forecast too, so maybe it makes it a little bit more low-scoring of football game. But I think Arizona at home, I think they're a little bit better than BYU.
All right, we'll wrap up in the Big 12 between Arizona State and Utah, and I'm going with Kenny Dillingham's squad here. I watched that Texas Tech-Utah game. I was very unimpressed with Utah. I thought they looked terrible. They didn't look good, and I think they lose another one at home. I got Arizona State 27-24, but Justin, can Utah hand Arizona State their second loss of the year?
Yes, I got Utah 20-21. So that Texas Tech game, Devin Dampier, because Willingham got fined for it. Dampier missed a couple of days of practice and was never on the injury report. So that is why I think he looked so bad.
Yeah.
Because I've seen him a lot. He looked a lot better the next week at West Virginia. I do think he's healthier now. I do think he plays better. I do think up front they're a bit better than Arizona State in this one. For Arizona State, do they have that second wide receiver to help out? Because Jordan Tyson doubled amount of yards already than their second number 2 wide receiver has on the year. And I think Dampier will make a mistake or two, but I think, they'll be able to get through that. And I think Utah kind of on the ground, can they do enough? Because Arizona State's been really good against the run. They can kind of slow that down. I could see Arizona State going in this one getting a win, but I think Utah's lost 5 straight conference home games, or I think they've have 5 straight Big 12 games here at home. I think they finally get one because it's usually a tough place to go to Salt Lake and get a win. I think they finally get it done.
Yeah, it should be.
And
I got it. Should be an interesting game between these two teams on Saturday night. But that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We will be back next week talking about the AL and NLCS, week 7 of the NFL season and week 8 of the college football season. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.
All right, Justin, nice job.
Cool. Thanks, you too.
Yeah, so I got to run into work, so I'll be texting you during the game tonight.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I hope he can get this done.
Hopefully he does. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you later.